Plugin of the week comes from the Plugin Alliance, or through the Plugin Alliance. It's Bettermaker, the passive EQ. This is a hardware unit or emulation of a hardware unit. And in that hardware unit, like with all the Bettermaker stuff, it connects via USB to your computer. You got a little plugin that allows you to control the settings in the analog realm that make for great sounds. And that way it's recallable instantly. If you're doing a mastering session, you can automate scene changes from one song to the next, so it'll switch settings and all of that sort of thing. So it's a pretty cool setup. Now, if you already have this, it's basically a passive EQ mimicking the Pultec, right? The EQP1A, or that's the sort of direction. If you have the Plugin Alliance Everything bundle or whatever they call it, double, triple XL, then this would be your kind of Pultec emulation, because there's nothing else in there, I believe, that is a Pultec direct emulation, but this would be the closest thing to it. But it has some nice bells and whistles on it as well. Sounds pretty amazing, and gives you some options that kind of makes it a more flexible version of kind of an EQP. I wouldn't call it like that, although it definitely has some of the sonic characteristics of that. That's the direction it's going. A couple things on the timeline bar, aside from the, copy, paste, ABCD, all of that sort of stuff. A little thing here for listening to, whatever it is that you're adjusting. If you're adjusting a frequency, you'll hear that band. You can solo up, mid, side, left or right, or mono, everything up. You could switch between mid side or left and right and unlink the two sides. If you want to adjust like one side or the other, that would be the way that you would do it. Otherwise, the settings will be linked. There's a panel down here which shows you a spectrum analyzer. And this is kind of cool because, in one way, when you use a Pultec, you just kind of go by ear and what the sound is, but you'd be surprised at what the actual waveform, what the frequency shape ends up being from the boosts and attenuation. So it's nice to actually kind of see that. So that'll turn that panel on or off. You could show just the left, or the left and the right side, or mid side, right? So the stereo. There's a little icon here which allows you to adjust if you want to really dig into the analyzer settings, the resolution, the speed, the slope, all of those sorts of things, how much you're zooming in terms of what decibel range that you see. And then you can also increase the size of it or decrease the size of it depending upon what it is you want to see. So that's actually pretty cool. That's all on that end. On the settings end here, this will just engage the whole plugin itself. Here now, on the hardware unit, you will have stepped increments, just like a Pultec 30, 60, 20, 30, 60, 100. Here you can actually go anywhere in between. So you can just it'll give you a full range of frequencies for the boost and the attenuation. Now, generally they're linked, or they come up linked when you first boot it, but you can unlink them, allowing to do the attenuation at a different frequency, which is also very cool, because that allows you to really control more of that resonance difference. And so that ends up being, a really cool kind of option that you just don't get with a Pultec. So we got that. We have the mid boost here, right? It has the bell curve, right? So you got the adjustment there with your high boost here. You got the frequency again. You have that fuller sweep there of the frequencies, or everything in between. If you needed something in between 500 and 1K, that's pretty cool. And then you can actually see there's also a cool thing here because it shows how it sort of flattens out or bubbles upward, which is not always the case, where, keeps kind of the gain the same, but that'll give you an idea of what passive EQs do. You have, so that's a parametric on that end. And then you got the high shelf cut for 5, 10, or 20. That all pretty much remains the same as a Pultec. The sliding thing there, got the attenuation curve there. Then there's an output gain control here. The added other feature here, which is not something that's on, it just sort of happens, I guess, with the hardware, is the ability to put the heat, which just drives the tubes a little bit more, so you can get a little bit more saturation in it. They've also added in here, which doesn't exist on the hardware, high pass, low pass filter, which is actually kind of cool. So you have that at 12 dB per octave or 24 dB per octave. So that's set up there. You could see where the curve would be, and then you just basically pop it into place. If you go through here and hit the LPF or HPF button, it'll just cycle or toggle through the options. That's basically it. Let's go right to making some noise with it. I'll take this one away. Let's just start with some drums. Let's see if we can kind of remove a little bit of the boxiness that I have here in the drums here. So this is like, I guess it's it's a mastering grade EQ. It would be great in a mastering situation here. I'm going to show it in a mix just on some stem or some bus returns here, and let's see what we can make of it. Here we go. Now, the range here goes, the full range here will go from 1 hertz, right? So that's 20, and it'll go all the way up, I believe, to like 30K. Well, it'll stop there. You'll see the frequency analyzer will go up higher. The low pass filter stops at 20K. Oh, this goes to 20. I'm sorry. The range of the frequency analyzer goes there. I'm sorry. Excuse me. You can see, like, even though this is set, because it is on a shelf, you know, how broad of a range it kind of covers. But it helps to kind of remove a bit of the boxiness, kind of mostly in the 500 area. So I'll live with that a little bit. Let's see what we could do with the bass sound here. This is a bit of a gritty bass sound. Let's see what we got here. I see what I was doing. I forgot to unlock them. There we go. Now, if you're familiar with the Pultec, the boost and the cut work together, kind of meant to kind of create a little bit of a resonance at the cutoff frequency. The low cut actually does a slightly different frequency, which I believe is just a little bit higher. And that helps to kind of shape what's going on. So you might think that they kind of work equally, like one is undoing the other more or less if I boost and attenuate at the same time. There's a little bit of that. On the actual Pultec, the cut is half of what the boost is. So the same settings will not cut and attenuate exactly the same, but that doesn't appear to be the case here. Right. I forgot if I put the, let's see what that sounds like, the valve thing there on the... See what it sounds like with guitars. allows me to really kind of focus, kind of clean up the mid-range there, kind of bring in a bit more presence and depth on everything. Let's just kind of mix some vocals in here and see what we get with that. Maybe I'll cut down on the other stuff here.
Had my first impressions that had fallen out of place. Instead of shifting gears, you'd rather leave than save face. Live a life of opposites, you can't play the same game. I don't understand what's going on, but we can't get back in lane. I won't make you cry. Someone else will fight our lives away.
Let's see if I can bring in a little body in there.
Had my first impressions that had fallen out of place. Instead of shifting gears, you'd rather leave than save face. Live a life of opposites, you can't play the same game. I don't understand what's going on, but we can't get back in lane. I won't make you cry. Someone else will fight our lives away. Had my first impressions that had fallen out of place. Instead of shifting gears, you'd rather leave than save face.
All right, let's hear what this sounds like in the track.
Had my first impressions that had fallen out of place. Instead of shifting gears, you'd rather leave than save face. Live a life of opposites, you can't play the same game. I don't understand what's going on, but we can't get back in lane. I won't make you cry. Someone else will fight our lives away. Life no longer ordinary, taking sides but playing God with both. Drown my past and reach the future, dig up plenty space and build a home. Heaven sent to hell and back again.
Yeah, so I think, it kind of gives you a lot of nice shaping options, many of which you may be used to on a regular Pultec, although this swings down on an EQP, although this does kind of go down much lower, allowing you to get to some of the MEQ kind of settings that dive down there a little bit deeper. But it sounds great. I really dig this. I like the heat thing. You could, that I think probably works better for this. May sound a little bit different with different styles of music. I guess you have to kind of, dig into it and see what works. But nice shaping option here for bus, and certainly for a mastering. I could see where this would work incredibly well. I don't know. A pretty cool option. If you already have the Plugin Alliance everything bundle, then you got a nice gift in your email box today. So check it out, download it. But I think it's worth checking out either way. So plugin of the week, it made the cut. Bettermaker, Passive Equalizer.